Dawn. The fog occludes the morning light. Day. It is overcast and bleak. All is silent. Not far, a snow-capped peak looms larger than the rest. Toe of mountain. Voices echo high above. Halfway up the mountain, a young man, Caelin, 18, skinny, awkward, in mountaineering garb and gear, is ascending. He appears somewhat experienced, but is shaky and struggling to overcome the increasingly convex portion of the ascent. He falls trying. Caelin's fall is arrested by the safety line, as he completely panics and gives up. Caelin holds on for dear life despite the safety line. Gives up and descends. So Caelin is, as we mentioned, this story is set in Alaska, and Caelin, sort of being groomed by his father into being an outdoorsman. Even though Caelin is skinny, awkward, and somewhat weak, the outdoors isn't really his thing, but his dad is overbearing, and his dad is just insistent upon teaching him how to survive in the Alaskan wild. And it's very difficult for Caelin to sort of live up to his dad's expectations. His dad is an avid outdoorsman, born and bred in Alaska. And Caelin he's more of an indoor type. He's more of a reader. He's into books, gets good grades, skinny, awkward, nerdy. So, his dad is trying to make him a little more well-rounded. And obviously Caelin is struggling, and Caelin's got a lot to deal with. He does not have the best relationship with his dad. Dad did walk out on Caelin's mother and him when Caelin was younger. After Caelin's mother passed away, Caelin went to live with his father in Alaska. So Caelin's dad is sort of making up for lost time and trying to really teach Caelin how to be an outdoorsman. And it's not really Caelin's thing, but little by little, slowly but surely, Caelin is picking up things here and there. He is paying attention. He is trying his best, but he's not doing terribly well. So, as I mentioned, Caelin is young, awkward, skinny, and at first sight weak. But he has an inner strength and a willfulness to him that makes him a bit of a survivor. So let's discuss Caelin's psychology. As we mentioned, Caelin is a protagonist. Caelin is the main character. He's the David in this Goliath story. In terms of his psychology, Caelin's wound, as I mentioned, is when his dad walked out on Caelin and his mother when Caelin was younger. And Caelin, being a small, skinny, awkward, nerdy kid, obviously was bullied in school. Just bullied. And then his mother passed. So the first trauma was Caelin's dad's leaving. And then being bullied in school, another trauma. Then his mother's passing, another trauma. Then he's sent off to Alaska to be with his dad, and his dad's a little bit of an avid outdoorsman. And the trauma of being taken up mountains and these Alaskan adventures by his overbearing dad, trying to man him up a bit, that's a little bit of a trauma. So Caelin's got a lot going on in his head. And because of all that, Caelin has a bit of a flawed worldview. Caelin believes in karma, sort of. He believes that somewhere along the way, he did something wrong, or wasn't good enough, didn't do enough good works, and that's why life dealt him a really bad hand. So in his flawed worldview, he figures that if he does good works, he figures that if he is charitable and helpful and does the best he can to be a good person, good karma will start coming his way. And things will will be fixed in his life. So his approach to life is to do as much good as possible. The part he doesn't really deal with regarding his own mind is that at a subconscious level, and most characters, as in life, we all have a subconscious which most of us, it's not there to most of us. It's there in the background operating. That is our subconscious mind, and we're oblivious to it. These unconscious fears, these unconscious traumas, they manifest themselves in our lives, and often they cause problems in our lives, and we don't even know why. Well, with Caelin, our main character, he has an unconscious fear due to his wound and his flawed worldview. He believes that God hates him. Because as I mentioned, a lot has happened to him. And he figures, obviously, he's a bad person. Maybe he brought it upon himself. So he does all the good he can, but I think at an unconscious level, he thinks that God hates him. Damiana comes into his life, being hunted. She's running for her life, desperate to cling on to something that can save her. As we mentioned, Damiana is a survivor. She's manipulative. She's a bit of a seductress. And she comes across Caelin. They appear to be polar opposites. Damiana is beautiful. She seems to have her act together. She's a seductress. And Caelin, sort of like a deer in the headlights, has to deal with all his demons and his own personal issues. And now he has this damsel in distress who needs his help. Well, he decides to help her. And in doing so, he opens up the gates of hell, all aimed at him. Caelin is in way over his head. But as we mentioned, there's strength there. And we believe this image sort of captures that strength and captures that potential. Because Caelin is our main character, this kid who's over his head. But will he rise up and go on this adventure and not just survive, but succeed? As we mentioned, Caelin wants to help people. He wants to help Damiana. Deep, deep, deep inside, even he's not aware of it. He knows that he wants to help himself. He understands. At a very subconscious level that this is all at the end of the day is about saving himself just as much as saving Damiana. He may not be aware of it, but at least we as an audience, we sense that Damiana brings out something in him that is something he needs to survive. In essence, she brings out the man in him. This is the Coldrock Brothers. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.